Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a good morning or evening, whatever time it is in which you're watching this video. Today I'll be talking about fitness slash diet and how to optimize your diet in terms of fitness, how to build muscle and maintain muscle over time. I want to start off by just talking about a little tips and advice. Eat as clean as possible. So ignore what most mainstream people say about eating, saying that you just optimize protein intake. You shouldn't just, as soon as you see something that's high on protein, you shouldn't say, oh, let me buy that, because most times it's heavily processed and or it's just not very effective. You gotta do the hard work. You can't slack on diet and then work hard on your fitness journey. You can't. I've always had the analogy that you've got to keep strict on what you eat. If you're on a fitness journey, then what's the point of working out hard when you don't eat properly? And to eat properly to optimize your body, you have to understand your body. You have to understand what reacts differently and how your body reacts to even when you're in the gym, how your body reacts to working out hard, how it recovers. You have to understand what point you are at in your journey. If you're just starting out, then you've got to take it slow. You can't think that you're behind and try and push yourself, because you'll start to injure yourself. That's not the way to go. You have to be careful when you start out. I started about a year and a half ago and I haven't looked back. And that's usually what happens. You start out, you enjoy it, and then you don't look back. And each day you've got to do the hard work. You can't just say, oh, I don't want to train today because I don't feel like it. When you don't feel like it is the time you should be training. You might have some days where you feel like you're injured, but your muscles are a bit achy. But you've got to keep pushing, but you can't push on stupid things and get injured. You got to be careful. You have to work out what muscle you've got, because say if you have in terms of like a shoulder, you might have a strong anterior and posterior deltoid, but then have a really weak rear delt. And then what happens, or say you have a really weak posterior deltoid and you injure that part, because your tendons in that muscle, the tendons in that area are weaker, so you will find that you will get injured more easily than any other person. So you have to be careful about that. You've got to be mindful of how your body is across each area, how it is your muscle is equal across each area. You got to analyze your body and see what point you are at in your journey. In terms of diet, the most important thing you should probably do if you're whatever point on your journey, I recommend tracking your food. You don't have to be exact to the point. You just got to be knowing if you're eating more than you are burning, or the other way around. You've got to work out with your bulking and your cutting. Most people are usually bulking, depending on what they are aiming for, but most people are bulking. If you are cutting, then you have to work out what diet is best for you. You have to work out whether keto, carnivore, vegan is is best for you. Usually what happens when you go on a cut, you optimize fiber and protein, and minimize carbs. That's what most people do, which is obviously a very good, effective way of doing it. But you have to see how, you have to test different things, see how you feel. Carnivore or keto would be a good idea. Yeah, but so when you are training, I recommend obviously going with the same analogy of 1.6 to 2 grams per kg body weight of protein, or I think it's is it 1 gram of, no, I think that's different. Yeah, and in terms of going back to training, I'd say you need to start slow, because when you're young and you start out, you have weak bones. So doing heavy weights is never the way to go. Even if it's been about 2 to 3 years, you just got to keep doing like body weight exercises, just to be careful with your bones and your muscles, because you never know what could happen. You could do a flat bench, which I don't like flat bench at all. With the barbell, if it's dumbbells, maybe. Well, if it's dumbbell flat, I think it's okay. But if you're doing barbell flat, you're not really optimizing muscle. You're more optimizing weight, which is a good thing to do maybe on a one-off with your mate, just to see what sort of progress you're at. But I wouldn't do it week in, week out. But yeah, you gotta set a significant goal relating to your journey. So say your weight right now is at 130 and you are cutting, I'd say a good aim would be 90 to 100, and you have to work out with that what sort of diet and and whether you want to optimize losing body fat, which you probably would want to do. Say you are at 30% body fat, you want to get to 18 or 20% body fat. But yeah, just avoid all processed food as you can. That is the ultimate thing you want to be doing. Optimizing clean. And when it comes to carbs, you just got to be having the right carbs. You got to be careful, because the big corporations or supermarkets, they try to entice you by, like, say, like I'm trying to think of an example, like cereal. They say, oh, this is high in fiber or something, when in actual fact it's just processed. And they to be fair, they usually minimize fiber in the food when it's processed, so you don't get as much fiber as they say, or they say you do, but then it's actually really minimal. Just avoid any sweeteners or chemicals. And when it comes to carbs, the good carbs are like you should be having bananas, sweet potatoes, lentils, quinoa, rice, berries, oats, pasta, good seeded breads, beans, pastas. But when it comes to breads, you can also get deceived by breads as well. You can get high chemicalized breads. You want to be having like bakery bread. Nice bakery bread is probably acceptable if you are bulking and you're struggling to find calories each day. Yeah, so avoid all bad carbs, like I said, cereals and sugars, because they are, in actual fact, they are quite addictive, because the way they put the salt levels and sugar levels according to addictions. I think there's a video on that. Huberman did a video on, I can't remember what the video was, but he was talking about how they put higher salt in your food, which makes you crave it more, which is incredible and very, very disturbing.
Okay, knees out, flat foot, press.
There's a lot in the handbook and I never realised.
Exercise is one of the most beneficial things that you can do in terms of health benefits. So if you're trying to lose some fat, I'd recommend exercising consistently because you get health benefits like reduces in inflammation and stress and anxiety, like those sort of things. That there are a lot of benefits from doing it. Yeah, so you've got to eat your protein. You've got to eat your meat. You've got to eat nuts, meats, yogurts. So that they're some of the good examples. Avoid those awful protein bars that those I don't know. I don't really know any of the main ones, but just avoid them because they're just sugar. It's literally just sugar and a little bit of protein. So I'd try to avoid them and stick to high protein meats. I like venison. I know not many people like venison, but I know it's very beneficial to be eating, but it's whatever your preference is. And with meat and eating pure protein, you feel so energetic and alive because when you're on a carnivore diet, your brain is just so alive and you're so alert all through the day because you're not digesting any complex carbs or any of that sort of thing. Yeah, so going on to the next part, I want to talk about how important and vital thorough stretching is before and after you work out. You've got to be staying every day. You've got to be stretching thoroughly. And say if you've trained the legs hard, I'd recommend an ice bath the morning after. Don't ever do any ice baths the 6 hours prior to working out because you lose the benefit. You lose the muscle benefits you have gained from that workout. And yeah, so deep tissue massages and proper stretching is so important when training, just to keep your muscles well and alive. It's so important. So that's in terms of stretching. I know there's a lot you can talk about when stretching. I might do a video on stretching in the future because it's quite complex, but at the same time it's quite interesting, stretching. Yeah, I do like to. It is enjoying. The more you do it, it's the same as most things. The more you do it, the more enjoyable, more joy you get from it. And yeah, you should be. If you're starting to lose interest in the gym, maybe a year after going, I'd recommend just training for joy. Maybe switching it up, going from a bro split to like push pull, and then maybe because I used to do a push pull split, and then I went to a Arnold split, and I enjoyed it so much more, and I enjoyed going to the gym so much more because I saved a lot of time, and it felt better doing Arnold, to me anyway, than it did doing push pull. So if you take anything out of this, I'd say sometimes you lose interest, and just switching up what you are training and what you're doing each day changes so much, and it is very effective. But yeah, you want to be overloading your muscles. You want to be constantly go into failure. But this is where I'm gonna be. I'll talk. I'm gonna be talking about the best way you should train now. So you shouldn't be training for high weights. You should always be training for repetitions. That is what a lot of people get deceived or confused by, is whether you should train for like 1 rep, or like 1 to 3 reps, or 10 to 15, or 8 to 15. The 8 to 15 is always the best way to go. Or if you're doing like body weight, doing like 20 plus repetitions over like, say, like 3 sets is just so much more optimal for your muscles and how they grow. And doing the exercises you don't enjoy, usually you just gotta push through it. Because say if you have you start to get some weak hamstrings because you don't enjoy training hamstrings, you might get a muscle imbalance in your legs, and you might start to feel your knees giving and start to feel a bit of an injury. That's what happens. See, people neglect like hamstring workouts, and then all of a sudden they start to feel knee pain, which is very common. The same as the scenario I gave for shoulders. People get shoulder injuries from the most common shoulder injuries are from flat bench, and it's you get it like in here. I don't know the scientific reason why that is, and flat bench, and then also doing pull-ups. But doing forced pull-ups can also damage your shoulders in terms of the technique that you do. So technique is everything, and finding the best technique for you in your journey is so important to minimize injury and to maximize muscle growth. So muscle recovery, deep tissue is so key. Ice baths are very good. After training legs, doing an ice bath for 8 to 12 minutes is so beneficial. It is so good. I do it. I don't know if I still do it once a week, and the benefits you get from an ice bath are immense, because your legs have just got a new life as soon as you get out of the ice bath. It's incredible. So as well as everything I've said here, ice baths are very, very good. Very good. If you don't do them currently, it's something that you should look into and just do once a week and get over the pain, because I know for a lot of people, ice baths are very hard to do. But ice baths are probably one of the most beneficial things that you can do in terms of everything. You get a nice dopamine boost after as well. So it's amazing. You get a nice recovery. You get a nice you get a nice brain boost, and it's incredible. Those little hacks that you can implement into your week are so important, because it changes the dynamic of how you can. Because say if you train legs, you don't stretch, you don't have an ice bath, you don't do any deep tissue massages, and you go to train legs, say 4 days after, if you're doing a certain split, you're not going to be ready, or you're not going to be recovered well. So doing those little things is so important. If you haven't started the gym yet, start today, because if you don't start today, you'll be behind. But if you do start today, you'll be ahead, and you'll every day in which you decide to turn up is one step closer to your goal that you are aiming for, or every day you turn up is one step closer to your future wife. That's what you got to think about. You got to think smart each day, not hard. Whew. I think that will do it for today's video. A nice little fitness / diet video. I hope you boys and girls enjoyed this one. I hope you gained some nice information from it. Let me know what you think about the aspect of the videos, how they are filmed, that sort of thing. Let me know what you would like to see. But yeah, have a good rest of your day, whatever you're doing. Keep pushing, keep growing. Keep remembering what you were doing it for. Keep remembering why you were at this point. Keep remembering that every step you take is a step towards success, but every step you take back is a step towards failure.